What's up, YouTube? Erod212 here, and today we're going to talk about 4 affordable spec books that I've been picking up, and you might want to also. All right, so like I was saying, I'm going to go over 4 books that I've been picking up, and these are books that I'm specking on. Let me know what you guys think. A couple of these books I am not an expert on. It's just more of a gut feeling and the way I like this character. And I think it has a lot of possibilities. Actually, both of them, but I'll explain why. So the first book I want to talk about is Marvel Superheroes number 17. And that book is the origin of the Ebony Blade. All right. And it's also the origin of the Black Knight. So as we know, Dane Whitman, who is the Black Knight, is going to be part of the MCU, part of the Eternals, probably part of the Avengers. He signed a 6-picture deal. We've talked about this in past. Avengers 47 and 48 have become big books now, in the hundreds of dollars and out of the reach of certain people. You know, it just is what it is. Those books have gotten hot. So when those books get hot, as the defects speak about all the time, we go to the next book. And the next book I went to was Marvel Superheroes number 17. It's the first time he's had his own story arc other than within the Avengers. These books used to print multiple stories. A couple of them were reprints from the Golden Age. But this story here is an original story. Roy Thomas had a big part in this. Like I said, origin of the Ebony Blade. The Ebony Blade was created by Merlin the Magician. Yes, the actual Merlin from, old lore of King Arthur and everything else. Merlin created the Ebony Blade from a meteor. And it's pretty interesting, and it's something to see because the Ebony Blade plays a big role throughout the Black Knight's career, because it causes him to have rage and everything else. And you'll see along the line, it kind of seduces or takes over the character, and that's why he becomes entombed in like granite. So he becomes basically like a statue. But that goes further on down the line. But origin of the Ebony Blade, origin of the Black Knight. Because what happens is Dane goes and meets the spirit of the original Black Knight, Sir Percy, who actually created in 1955 by Stan the Man Lee. All right. And he's the guy who kind of guides him through it. And you'll see all about it. So basically, the Black Knight is the third Black Knight. His uncle was the second Black Knight, but was seduced by the Ebony Blade and used his powers for evil. Fought throughout the Marvel Universe, early Avengers issues. I believe he fought against Ant-Man and everything else. And then when Dane goes and he inherits that castle, that's where he comes across the Ebony Blade. So, good book. I think it's a good book. Remember this, it's a square bound, so high condition, and it's a black cover. So high condition for that book is tough because of spine splits back then on those books, and also that black cover. But if you can find a nice one, I did recently at that big comic show in Hampshire, and I picked it up immediately. Next book I want to talk about, let's talk about the Black Knight again, is Black Knight number 1 from the 1990s solo series. Why am I picking this book? Okay, I'm trying to give myself options for books other than those 2 major keys, 47 and 48. So I already spoke about Marvel Superheroes 17, first Ebony Blade, but now I want to talk about his first solo series. And what I did was my thought process is this. I looked at a character like Moon Knight, who is coming up with a series now and was a super popular. That book, Werewolf by Night 32, blew up. So what happened? We rolled over to the next book, which was Marvel Spotlight number 28. Now Marvel Spotlight 28 became a bigger book. What did we do? We moved over to Moon Knight's first solo series. And now that book has gotten really hot and is becoming a $100 plus book. And maybe more, depending on the grade. So I took that thought process and brought it over to the Black Knight. Because, again, I keep hanging my hat on 6-picture deal. They have plans for him. So we can't do 47. We can't do 48. We did Marvel Superheroes number 17. And now we're going to do his first solo series. And that's Black Knight number 1. Now, this book at one time was a dollar bin book. You can find this everywhere, and you possibly can. I would say I have a shot at finding this in like a flea market or a rummage sale, a yard sale, something like that. Maybe if you go to an antique store, you might still find this for $1. But right now, it's commanding about a $40 premium in a near mint copy. So still affordable though, because remember that was the same thing with that Moon Knight series. I was picking those up for $25, even $30. Can't get it for that much anymore. So just another book for you guys to think about. All right, and now I'm going to shift gears and I'm going to do a little DC. Now, DC is not my strength by any means, but I do know DC. I'm not like my man Marky 316, who knows DC. I mean, he's my guru for DC. If I have a question, I usually go to him. Emerald Knight's another guy, big DC guy who knows his DC stuff really well. Check both of those guys out on IG. Marky 316 also pops up with the New York Warriors all the time. Just a lot of good knowledge. But the Green Lantern series is coming to HBO Max. And I think HBO Max is investing money in it. I think that the series is going to be good. They just announced that they're going to be doing the Green Lantern throughout different eras. So you're going to start out with the original Green Lantern and carry on throughout, leading up to Hal, probably John Stewart, and whatever else we see. But there's got to be villains along the way. One of the, besides Sinestro, who is one of probably the best Green Lantern villain, one of the villains that I really like a lot is Atrocitus, right? Because he's fueled by rage. Now, Atrocitus' first appearance is Green Lantern number 25, along with Larfleeze, another badass character. All right, but it's a small cameo, and that book has gotten hot. It's commanding, I think it's like a $50 to $75 premium. There's also a variant for it that goes about $100 if you can find it. But the book I want to talk about is Green Lantern number 28. And the reason I'm saying Green Lantern 28 because that's the first full appearance of Atrocitus, who, as I said, is a first member of the Red Lanterns, fueled by rage, which is I love when you have like a raging character in comics. It just brings that energy. Also, it's got a fantastic cover. And if you see the cover, that's Lyra, and I hope I said that right, who was a Green Lantern who was being brought up to trial because she executed some people. And lanterns aren't supposed to really kill. But she's presented a Red Lantern ring, and she becomes a member of the Red Lantern Corps also. So double for your money right there, but definitely first full Atrocitus, and it's an affordable book. It's probably like a $15 book. You can get that book pretty cheap. So something I would look at. And then the last book I would look at there is Final Crisis, Rage of the Red Lanterns, number 1. There are variants to this book. There's second and third prints, but I love the cover for the first print. I really do. I think it's a good book, and that is the origin of Atrocitus. And it's a pretty interesting origin. I won't spoil it for anybody, but if you go back and read it, whichever way you want to read it, it's a good book to own. And again, about a $12 to $15 book right now, but just one of those keys right now that I think people are grabbing. Everybody's grabbing first appearances. Everybody's grabbing origin issues. Once books go through the roof, those are the books that everybody goes to. So I try and stay ahead of the curve and grab books like this. So those were my 4 spec books that I've been picking up. Affordable? Absolutely. You're talking Marvel Superheroes, $17. Black Knight number 1, $40. Green Lantern 28 is a $15 book, and the Final Crisis is probably like a $12 to $15 book. And also, like I said, 3 out of those 4 books you could probably find in yard sales, flea markets, or other locations like that, rummage sales, whatever it is, back issue bins of a shop that hasn't picked them out yet and doesn't, not ahead of the curve. Some shops aren't ahead of the curve. You can find these books. If you can get them cheap, they're good books to add to the collection, and you never know what might happen. These books might become $100 books somewhere down the line. But, again, that's the end of this video. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what your thoughts are on my thought process. Did you like what I thought? Is this something that you guys might be interested in picking up? And if I made any mistakes here, my DC guys are going to correct me anyway, so I'm ready for that. But I appreciate that. I love the comments. Keep up, Keep the comments up. That's what keeps this channel fueled. Let me know if you like this type of content. And until my next video, peace.